all those people are going to help you to either do more what you want to do, more what you want to most like to do, or use your strength to push further in whatever it is you're trying to drive by actually really being generous and helping or training, coaching and teaching everybody else to thrive at their best.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have a new best friend with me, and his name is Joe. And we're going to talk to you today about generosity and how being generous can help us as leaders. But don't panic yet. I know you're like, I've already given everything. I don't have anything left to give. I'm on empty. But this is, how do we fill ourselves up so we can be generous? What can we do to create a life where giving is joy? Giving of our heart and our souls and supporting one another. And I know you love it. I know that that's just the kind of people we are. We support others. And so we're going to hear how to fill ourselves up enough that we can keep on being generous. And sometimes the joy we get back from this generosity is exactly that, filling yourself back up. So before we jump in, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Joe, help us to enjoy our generosity. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on this show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. Okay, Joe, I know generosity, I love to share. And, we all share in different ways. Some could be financially, some could be our hearts, some could be giving you space. And all these things are part of generosity. But as leaders, you got to do them all. So how do we share and be amazing leaders without depleting ourselves?
Yeah, so that's a very good question because, when I think of a generous leader, and generous, that word means a lot probably to different things. So, I'm not thinking about giving a paycheck that's bigger than the other paycheck. That's fine, but that's not what we're talking about here. To me, a generous leader is someone who, is really, I'll say this too, giving themselves without expectation that benefits others grow, develop, and thrive. And the thing is, oh my gosh, you connect what? So I got to give more so they can be great? Well, it's a little bit of yes, but because actually if they're all thriving and firing at their full potential, you can give less then. You will have more time. You will be surrounded by people that get you excited, that you feel proud of. Now, I'm not saying you don't still have a job to do, but actually that's probably more of the job than scrambling. Now it's tricky probably to get from here to there, but that's what I mean by a generous leader. You're really ensuring your team is cranking and when they're humming, that could be a sports team or a business team. Or your family if you wanted to go that way. But it actually benefits you massively, even though that's not the goal you're after. The minute that's the goal you're after about yourself, it doesn't work so well.
You're no longer generous. Like it's all about me.
You become selfish all of a sudden, right? It's kind of the opposite word.
Yeah. So how do I be? Let's start with how can I be a generous leader? What is it that I can do to create that giving or helping others to be the best they can be?
Well, okay, that's a big question, so I'll try not to answer all at once. But a friend of mine, a CEO of a company, a large company, so that's not where most of us are, of course. But he said to me, a couple of things. He said, Joe, as a leader, of course, you have to get results. That is, well, actually, anywhere. Otherwise, you may not stay in the role. You probably won't stay in the role. But the sooner you learn to move past yourself and unlock and untap incredible human traits of those with whom you work, the sooner you'll get those incredible results. So that's really what you want to do is how do I unlock, tap into the best of them? And I mean, I have a number. I mean, just a couple of things come into my mind. One is I gotta be careful. I go through too many things. One, I think you have to be authentic. We could use the word vulnerable if we want, but in the work world today, at least, people, the work life's blurred. Technology, COVID, so humanity comes to work. Jack Welch days, excellent leader, probably. They're done. They're just done. Now I know not everywhere, but so you've got to be a little bit to bring yourself. Nobody, if you're just super person, people don't follow you eventually. And by the way, you can't keep it up because nobody is completely super person. So and then the thing I think also an important thing is if you really want to tap into helping people be great, I'll go to right development in a minute, but you've got to include them include them in your work world. I mean, ask them questions and really ask questions because you want to hear what they have to say and how they could help you. Don't just, not just because you're being nice or something like, okay, Laura Jane knows something I don't know about podcasting. I'm interested in podcasting. I should ask her a lot of questions. And then I shouldn't presume any answers, but what are your knowledge and my knowledge together? Which the reason I started with authenticity and vulnerability is because you have to be humble enough to say, okay, you know something I don't know. So when I ask this question, I better listen. Asking, time's often a challenge. If asking questions, it's not that hard to ask a question. You talk to somebody and then you show them respect. If they bring great ideas in the room, they're actually going to grow and develop and you're getting better ideas, together. So we can go further, but those are a couple, quick things that I think are quite important. Be yourself as best you can, understand you don't know everything. In other words, be a little bit humble and really tap into your colleagues, but take the time to tap into them.
Okay. So I like the ask the questions because if I want to delve in or understand more, I'm not going to get it without a question, and I talk about Stephen Covey and his seek first to understand. I think you call it curiosity.
Curious. Yeah, be curious.
So I need to understand where you're coming from. If you say this isn't doable, help me understand why. Or let's talk through how that could change because very few things are not doable.
Right. Well,
if you have the right resources, it's what is the resource that's missing.
Yeah. Or what's the roadblock? In my business life, I used to tell my teams, you have to go out and engage the skeptics. Well, I don't want to talk to them and uncover the no's. Well, they're just naysayers. That's what people would say. But the fact your statement just made, maybe 1 out of 1,000 people who just say no, no, no are a pain in the neck. Maybe one. But otherwise, all of them know something about why something won't get done, why it won't work. And as a leader, it'd be great if you could go figure that out sooner than later so the resources could be allocated to solve whatever that might be. And
I really, it's funny because I have had many projects where someone said it can't be done. And by listening to them tell me why it couldn't be done was the way we came up with the solution. Had we not taken a moment to really delve into what are we seeing as the problem, you don't know what to fix or to change. And so I love the curiosity, seeking, listening. I definitely think we don't just talk to the yes people because you get a slanted view. And it would be like software testing if you never tested for what would go wrong.
Oh,
like, no,
there'd be a lot of loss.
We just don't do happy path testing. So it's like, how do we pull out the good and the bad and still collaborate and really get the best out of one another?
Yeah, and can I build on the other thing that's important in there is not to be, as a leader, not to be stubborn. Like, well, no, I've thought about it. I've talked to a lot of people. This is the answer. I know it. And they actually think they did a lot of good due diligence. So it's not like they're just plain old jerks, but they now think this is it. And then all of a sudden someone comes in, either someone beams it up or and they get stubborn and say, well, no, this is the answer. And that, whereas opposed to do what you did, spend a few minutes. Well, why do you think that? Not that hard. And then sort out together. Maybe they're wrong. That's fine, but sort out and figure out what it is. But you also can't be like, I'm set on the way now. Sorry, I'm going to say one thing. That doesn't mean that once eventually you got to make a decision and move. And then and if it's just wrong, then change. But don't just sit there and look for research forever. That's not a good idea either.
And we all have, well, okay, maybe not everybody, but I've seen several projects happening at organizations that were a good idea, but maybe too much of a change for really people to grasp. And so even though had we been able to get everything right, the project itself ends up getting canceled because you can't pull it all together. It was too big of an idea. And sometimes I think people are used to, oh, this is a big project, it's going to fail.
Oh, wow.
This is a big thing, it's going to fail. And how do we start showing people success? It's not. It's going to be good and it's going to work because you now have been through a failure and you know what to look for.
Yeah. That also is a big question, but I do know in my experience over the years, whenever that kind of thing was presented, we always, at least in my world at Boston Consulting Group, okay, chunk it down. What can we do first? What can we do? This is obvious, that shows results so that the client says, oh, we actually got results here, move forward. Any giant IT project that was that giant, it didn't.
That would be the minimal viable product.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can have the MVP, but the people that went like that never worked. You had to do this, but it wasn't. I also say on a personal note, sometimes I would get just overwhelmed at work, I don't know, 9 things to do, too much, and you just freeze, and then you freak out and everything bad happens, and not bad, but just and I remember I had a very good mentor, and one time he said to me, Joe, stop. Just stop. 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 Now, what are the things you have to write them down? Okay, now which one is most important that you could get done pretty quickly? That one. Okay, go do that. Forget the other 8. Forget them. Just forget them. Well, Steve, I got to do all. No, get that one. And then I got that one done. And guess what? All of a sudden, tension came down, stress went away, and I sorted out how to prioritize the 9. I've never forgotten that because, we all can just, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but we all can one time think, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff. I can't do it. What do I do now? And you can freak, which is fine, but you can't freak forever. That's not fine. You can get stressed. That's fine. But it was really good counsel. No, Joe, just list them and pick one and do it. And then you'll feel, and it worked. It was, oh, wow, I feel better.
In many of my last interviews, I've, before ever getting the job, it's like, I will run into a point where I can't handle it all. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, I have to put all the balls down and walk away. And then I will come back and pick which one to pick up. But I'm not picking them all up. So just know this is my way. And so it's, if I can tell you ahead of time, then when it happens, you're not like, I think we just got ourselves a lightweight here.
Yeah,
but it's that same concept. It's like,
it's exactly
juggling all these things. I just need to set them down and then really look at which one to pick up and to leave the rest on the ground because it's just, you just have one too many balls and you get one of them out of the way, you're going to be juggling fine again.
It's really, I think the point you made there is leaving the rest on the ground because that's what we struggle with. Oh, but I have to do them all. But then, as you and I both said, then you're stuck, and that's worse.
Yeah,
I also relate this just thinking, I also had not a mentor, but someone in my organization that used to say, if you're really faced with a big decision, a tough one, he said, just never respond immediately. Like, please sleep on it. Now, if there's a crisis, that's a different, if you're a military guy or something, I'm not, but, sleep on it and come back tomorrow. First off, it may not be there tomorrow. What they thought was so big may have solved. But secondly, you'll have time to not just, some version of that. Because sometimes we also get, oh my gosh, I got to decide now. And then we freak out and freeze. And there's too many, so it's a different version of the same thing. But both of them are,
We
it's okay to take a breath, right? Just,
we do get in our heads a little too much.
yep.
And when we start having to do it all right now, it can be overwhelming. And overwhelm is okay if you know how to stop and put the balls down.
Yeah.
We're going to hit it. It's just life. Things are going to come at us faster than we can shovel them out the door.
Yeah.
And it's being okay with that. Like,
Go ahead.
no, you're good.
No, it also goes back to where we started. Actually, if you're a really generous leader, or I would argue an exceptional leader, you're actually developed and trained and grown all your teams so that, oh, wow, so and so can do that one. So and so can do that one. Oh, now there's only 3 left. I can do the 3. I'll pick this. You actually have people around you who can help you. And usually in most environments, if you create that kind of camaraderie and team and collaboration, people are more than happy. Like it's a job for one thing, but they're more than happy to step in and take their role. And if you train them, develop them well, you can,
Right.
you can,
And if you are taking advantage of their natural strengths, it's easy for them and they like it. They feel productive. They feel successful. And if you're always giving up, it's okay to challenge them. But if you can use your natural strengths, do it. Like, think about your own self. When I can tune into what I do naturally well, which is usually and quiz people to death so I get all the answers I want. But if you can do that well, or whatever it is you do well, and you get those tasks, you don't feel like you're working. I'm just sitting down asking, I could do this. Like as a project manager, people say, "What do you do?" I ask people what they need to have done, and then I tell them to go do it.
My son-in-law was a project manager for a while. He said it wasn't quite that easy. He had a little bit of convince him sometimes.
Right. But the thing is I didn't come up with the ideas.
No.
And I didn't do the ideas. It's like you're just that conduit that's helping to make sure people get things done. But we can do that with every part of our lives. And, as you start talking about delegating, oh man, what is it that's taking up your day? What is it that's not your natural fit? Because we do shine when we're using what's natural to us. How do we do that? Now, how do I identify what my strengths are so I know what to keep?
Yeah. And if you have, 2 points on that. If you have incredible mentors or coaches, or if they're incredible, they will tell you, you are really great at this. I 2 stories. I have one mentor. Well, the same story. We had a guy, I met my mentor, who's a partner consulting firm, and there was a project leader, and he was quite brilliant. My mentor one time said, you're never going to be as smart as him, but you have to keep trying. so that was, but that was a little, but he also said to me once, told me a story. He said, Joe, if I put you and this other person in a room, 4 white walls, no doors, no window, give you an extremely tough problem, and say you can't leave the room unless you solve it. This other guy's name's Philip. He'll solve it every time. You may or may not. So that was a little harsh. But he said, then when you come out of the room and say, okay, now get it done, he will never, ever get it done. You will get it done every time. So, it was 2 points in there. My strength is kind of like what you collaboration. But the other thing I learned from that is, and any of us can do this, I surrounded myself with damn smart people who were smarter than me. Now, I had to have the ego to do that, but it was very clear to me I'm not the most brilliant guy in the room. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter. You bring together a collection of, where all the strengths are needed. And what I was good at is getting us all to get it done. He didn't have to tell me that harsh way, but I remembered it, but I do, back to your point, I wonder, whether a mentor or a coach, if you have to ask them, hey, what is it that I just knocked it out of the park on that I can leverage?
And that's a really good point. And what I like about it is because I don't feel I'm special. You don't feel you're special. We don't look at that one thing we do really well and go, I'm the only one that can do this. I'm special. We just assume everybody can do it because it's so natural. It's like breathing. It's just what happens. And when you can go, oh, not everybody's like me, and this is my special sauce, this is what makes me stand out, then you go, oh, but it's hard to see because it is what's natural.
Ingrained. Yeah. And I think the important thing to what you're saying, they were both saying is don't be afraid to go ask someone, even though it's a little bit, you might feel like you're being egotist. What is it do you think I'm great at? What strength? If you had to give me a role because you knew it was a lot of my strengths, what strengths are you picking up on? I mean, that's what coaches and mentors and bosses are for, if they're good, you know?
Yeah. If there's
You know,
someone on your team that likes to schedule, let them schedule your team. You know, you don't have to do it. If there's someone that really, really likes to plan lunches, let them plan the lunch. You know, it take it off your plate. You've got people that will want to help you out and they'll walk away feeling special because they got a special task. And not that it's not like to mess with their brain to say, oh, you're not really special, but I'm going to make you feel that way. That's not what I mean. It will make them understand that you know them.
yeah.
If
Well,
anybody asks me to plan a party, you know me. I'll do that. Now, I won't show up and play with you guys once we're there, but I can plan the best parties.
one point, when you said all over, you didn't say the word superpowers, which remember when those, I don't know if that word now wrapped in something bad. I hope not. But I remember that first started coming. I didn't quite get what it meant. But as my own life's evolved and as I reflect on what I've seen in the world, in the business world, this software, what is your superpower? Go figure it out. I didn't get to go, oh, what's your superpower? And there's books that I didn't get that. But actually, it's what we're talking about. But you actually have to go find out, to your point. I'd never, um, the other thing I'd say that we're talking about it is as the boss, quote unquote, the person that says, hey, you go organize a party. We are saying that it's also your job to understand your team's strengths and then actually help them to leverage those so they can grow. I mean, that is your role, which takes time, takes effort. But if you want them all to really thrive, that's part of what you should be doing as a leader. And then you should let them know too. Let them know.
Yeah. And there's so many personality tests out there. And I know some companies give them to you even before you get the job to know if you're a good personality fit. Others give it to you just so they know what to expect. But even your best strength can be a weakness. And then I was like, okay, so in the Strength Finder, one of my strengths is inclusivity, like inclusive. I want to include everyone.
I know where you're going.
Now, that's a great idea. Don't leave anybody out. But you got to stop somewhere. Everybody in the world cannot come to this party. It's got to have a gate or we're not going to fit everybody. So it's learning, where do I dial that back? When do I go, that's inclusive enough? Or positivity or, analytical. What are these things that you can do over the board? I'm really good at being analytical, but I also have a monkey brain that gets stuck there. And so how do I dial it back and let go? So even though you might know the strengths, we also need to know that they can go too far.
Right. Or basically what you're saying is they can cause you to freeze, which, yeah. But
Yes.
even that you can develop. I mean, we're saying the obvious, but it's just like your inclusivity. Okay, well, I have to solve this problem. What is a set of people I don't normally speak with who would bring me the newest set of information? So it's not the world, but it's 9 people I might not have talked to it before. Take those 9, and there you go. Stop there, unless you're still, or your analytics are trickier because some people do get lost on analytics. I mean, but then you want to start the effort or whatever it is you're doing, saying, what really is the answer you want me to get? How far am I, what is good enough? Don't start the project without that. Otherwise you can just get lost. I mean, I'm an ex-consultant. I watch consultants get lost doing analytics for a long time, but partly it was a manager's fault because they didn't communicate, here's what we need,
Right. What is the outcome that we're looking for? It's not the result of your report. It's the result from what the report's going to give us afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
So as we talk about generosity, if somebody is fearful or trying to think of the best way to say it is, I don't feel like the parts of me would be well received, so I shut down and I don't share. Okay, so what if I just don't share? Because generosity is allowing other people to be themselves
Yeah.
but also yourself. If you don't let yourself out the door, like, nope, you can't come out. You don't know how to play well with others. How do we get ourselves out of the closet so we can play well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that's easy because you're right. Those are roadblocks that are in our head that are pretty serious. It's a little bit of like, when can I allow myself to be vulnerable, right? Or when can I allow myself to be the real me, And there's some fear. I had a friend who told me he was a partner at BCG, and when he's worked with his teams, he was scared to death to say, I don't know. And so if he'd be in the room and he could see they were getting stuck and they were going to turn to him and ask him, where do you think we ought to go? And if he didn't know the answer, he'd leave the room before he'd get to, yes, right. Your face said it all. So, wow, that's a waste of time, or that's unproductive, or now the team's stuck. But he couldn't take it. He just didn't want to say, I don't know. So he finally said, you realize, wait a minute, this is just causing not getting things. And he sat one day, he said, okay, cross that line and said, everybody, I don't know either. He said it was unbelievable. Like the energy burst in the room, the creative juices. Oh, if you don't know and we don't know, nobody knows. Well, let's all work together to figure it out. And the creative energy went off. And for them, that was his moment of stepping a little bit past the inside of himself and realize the benefits were huge. And it was just his own fear. Fair enough. And I had a friend once. I asked him about this. How do you know when to step over that line? I mean, there's a lot of different points of view. One person said to me, well, I always watch when other people, the leaders, express some level of authenticity or vulnerability. And I don't want to do it the way they're doing it, but how did they do it? What did they say? What was the reaction in the room? This was a woman executive. And she said, I just watched how, and then with that, I figured out how I'm going to maybe expose more of myself. But I had another friend who said, Joe, the thing to do is think back, or a thing to do is think back in your past. When did you have some moment of, bringing yourself out, putting yourself out there, and how'd it go? I mean, first off, you're still here because this is in the past. You're alive. I had a silly one once. I decided to take piano lessons again when I was like 25, and I was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just like when I was 8. Took the lad, and the teacher said, well, you're going to be in the recital with the other 8 and 12-year-olds. So I said, okay. Well, I remember I got up there and I was scared to death. And a little kid in the front row said, Mommy, he's really nervous. I was 28, he was 8. And I was mortified, everything. And I played the piece, I don't remember. But I reflect back on that. Okay, I put myself out there. It wasn't the end of the world. Now, that's a safe thing. I admit, just playing the piano, what the hell? But he embarrassed me to me, but didn't matter. I did the piece. So it's one of those. So I do think there's something, such a long answer here, but there's something in reflecting back. When did I put myself out a bit? Or by my friend, are you holding back so much that everybody's paying a price for it? Then you just got it. That's a little bit more of a gumption to take a leap. He took a leap. Although saying I don't know isn't the end of the world. That's not a huge leap. Sorry, that was a long answer, Laura Jane. But
no, I love it. And the thing is I don't know, to me, is a fun answer because that means we get to learn it. Like, this means we have some fun stuff to do.
You think it's fun? Well, that's good.
Yes. And so it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know, let's find out. It was reminding me of my granddaughter's school. She goes to a independent school, independent learning, and the guides there are not allowed to answer questions. You can't go out and go, I really stuck. I need help on this. They have to do, how do you think you could find that? Where do you think you could look? How could, and so they are teaching the kids to think through how to find the solution instead of, oh, yeah, you just do this formula.
3 things, right?
Like, where do you think, let's say it's math, where do you think you could find that formula? Or is it a formula? Is it just, and so by doing this, it's teaching those people to be those future leaders that are going to be okay with saying, I don't know, let's figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that because what you're describing, it takes time, right? And if we're harried and busy and got so many things, we just talked about too many balls, and you think, oh my gosh, how do I take the time to do that coaching when I could just say, go do this and this? And maybe there are times to be that direct. But I had the same mentor said, Joe, if you don't spend a lot of time in the first 2 weeks of a project, let's say it's a 3-month project, get a setup, clarity of roles, what's the business outcome we're after, you'll be paying for it the whole 3 months. You set it up well.
And after.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it doesn't work. Yeah, or you said you set it up well, and you got all the time in the world. So it's even though what you described, oh my guys, listening, you think, yeah, but that takes time, and I have to get things done. But kind of the point is, you train those young children now. There's freedom later for, well, the teacher, that's their job, so it's a little different. But as the leader, you train them now. You have time to think about the next thing. But it's hard to remember that, because you think this is taking time.
I know I bring this up a lot, and that's Henry Ford. And people questioned his ability to lead a company. And it's like, oh, this guy doesn't even have a high school education. He's no good. How can he lead a company? And so they brought in these experts, and they're like, we're going to challenge what you know. And he's like, go ahead. I just have to push any of these buttons, because they didn't have cell phones, any of these buttons, and I'll call the expert, and they'll be able to tell you.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've
never heard the story.
And so here he is being questioned about his knowledge. Yet he had his team in place that covered all his weaknesses. And I've also heard it said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
Move. Because you don't want to be. We're here to expand, to create a better life, or whatever life you want for yourself. And how do we do that? So I really like that point about, do you have to know it all? No.
Well, I never heard the story, Henry Ford story. That's incredible. I had another friend say, a CEO said, your job isn't to bring the best answer into the room. Your job is to get the best answer out of the room, which is your smartest point. And it says a lot about how if one's got a lot of balls going, you can actually get it all done. When you have, Henry Ford, that's pretty easy. Just push buttons. I'm kidding, but that's well, you build.
Now we pick up our phone and we say Google.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, whatever.
And you get the answer. My husband says, why are you always testing me to see if I'm right? Well, no, you asked the question. I'm looking up to see if I answered it right. Like, I look up answers because it intrigues me to know the answer right now, what you just asked. And other people, they don't have that curiosity. It's like, no, I don't care. It's not going to change my day any.
That's so funny because you just named my wife and me. I'm always, well, let's go look it up. She goes, well, no, we don't need to, because I don't know. It was a conversation. She doesn't really care. And she also, though, lives better than I do in the day, better than I do. So, actually, it's not going to change my day knowing that. That's insightful too, isn't it? It's a little, although I'm with you, I want to know the answer because I'm just curious. It's interesting.
I'm just curious. What does Google think? Or Siri, or whoever you ask. So, Joe, what else should we talk about? How else can we help our friend with us to embrace generosity to help them be the best leader they can be? And I know you have a book and they could go read it, but tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, I think we got to be careful. We'll start repeating ourselves.
Yes, that's okay. Because when we repeat ourselves, as you're driving down the road listening to a podcast, you need it repeated once or twice.
Yeah. I have a thing. If you have a major point, you'll make it 3 times. So the first time they're wondering what you're saying. What are you talking? Second time, they're daydreaming about something else. The third time, they actually put it together. Oh, that's what the person meant. Someone actually told me a story. They were watching the Olympics once, and the Russian Olympics ice skating team will do major moves 3 times. Because the judge will say, whoa, what did I just see? The second time, and the third, oh, that's what that was. So it takes us 3 times to process. When you and I were talking before we started recording, you talked about an excellent manager may just be, or leader is the one that's sitting in the office and appears they don't have anything to do. But the fact is, if they're really the fact is they've got delegated everything. They're helped their people to be the best they can be. They're pushing the buttons where there's trouble. They're finding, they're using others to help find out where the roadblocks are and solving them, and not trying to do it all themselves, not dropping all the balls. And I thought to me, that was a very nice illustration. Okay, if I really leverage everybody, actually, I'll have more time. No, I can fill it with something else. I'm not saying you're going to sit around, but that's probably the insight here. The most of all is all those people are going to help you to either do more what you want to do, more what you want to most like to do, or use your strength to push further in whatever it is you're trying to drive by actually really being generous and helping training coaching and teaching everybody else to thrive at their best. Man, I'm never going to forget that. The manager who feels like he's doing nothing, or she, may actually be exceptional.
If you can get all your tasks delegated and your team is happy and they're producing, that in most companies is your job.
Yeah.
That's why we have managers, to inspire, to guide and direct the doers.
Yeah.
And it's like, our friend with us is not a doer, they're a leader. So they know this, but I was going to say, if you're just so caught up in trying to look busy, we're wasting our time.
Right. I ran the Northeast region for the BCG, and I went to the West Coast. I thought I was going to get the head of North America. I didn't get it, so I decided what to do. So okay, and it was now the West Coast was a turnaround deal. I'll try to grow it, and it was rather successful. So I was lucky and all that. But the firm, when we do our reviews, the firm came back to me and said, what's exceptional, Joe, is everybody on the team here is performing at much higher levels. Like, duh. So it's not like you went in there and did it all. You've got all of them humming, which, also meant I could step away, and all of them, they're not going to go back to whatever they were before. It was I actually appreciated that feedback from my colleagues more than, thank you for doing whatever you did. They noticed that everybody was humming better, and that's what they thanked me for, which that felt pretty darn good. Talk about filling your cup, as you said. When, people knowledge, especially the people you've helped grow, a thank you for helping them grow, you don't forget those things. I haven't forgotten them. If I think back on my career, those I remember. That's the joy. It's for me. It may not be for everybody, but that's the joy.
I'm going to generalize, but if you've made it to a leader role, which we have, if you are now got a team, which we do, you already figured out most of that stuff.
Or you have the capabilities in there.
Yeah. And if not, that's okay too. You can learn it. We can learn how to share the wealth. And what is it that I can do? Like, every time I hire a new employee, I have to teach them this. How can we streamline this? What is it that I can do? What is it that you repeat over and over again that you could put a document together or a training together and free up that time? Now, that said, our teams also need us. They don't just need a piece of paper telling them what to do. They also need genuine communication. And, you talked about that generosity. And I think that is that willingness to pour in to those people around us to help them be their very best. And if I've done that, I'm going to feel successful.
Right. Yeah. And if you built good talent around you, you are going to be successful. Now there might be external forces that you get a battle, but your team will be humming. Yeah.
And sometimes company culture puts departments against each other, makes it so we're competing. And sometimes a department will take it to the end where they jeopardize all the other department's successes because they want to be the winner, when we forget that it's the company that counts. Is the company that needs to win. And sales needs to be doing their sales. Marketing needs to be doing their marketing. Accounting needs to be doing their accounting. And if I'm getting in the way of somebody else's job, that's not very generous.
Right. Reminds me of my very first job. I was a sales rep at Procter & Gamble. Now, this was 4 years ago, so I'm probably going to pick on somebody, but one of the products wasn't that good, the P&G had. But the marketing team thought, we were idiots or something because we couldn't sell it. It just happened to be that it wasn't liked by the. So as an example, instead of working now, how do we? What are you guys learning about why they won't like? It was more like something's wrong with you. My thing's not selling, which is a version of your competition as opposed to making it win. Yeah. Um,
With the right PR or the right marketing or the right advertising, you're going to get a lot of product out the door, right? But if the product's not good, you're going to get a lot of really sad customers. So it needs to be both. I remember I worked for an advertising agency for many years as their IT director. And it was kind of funny that when we're old, some of us are older, but there was a oil spill in the Seattle area out in the ocean. And during this time, our PR group started countering the negative oil spill that all the fish are dying, they're polluted, they're not good for you, da da da. With the PR, just, hey, the fish is still healthy, the fish is still safe. And they sold more salmon in the disaster than they did in other times because people didn't doubt that. So it's like if the right message is out there,
right.
it's going to go forward even with all the crap in between, that's behind it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Like tapping into the right message. How do we do that? Answer that. We'll have the right question for everything and right answer for everything.
Right answer for everything. Yeah. Oh, it reminds me remember when Tylenol that had the scare,
Yes.
and J&J came out, admitted this, took it all off. It came back stronger than ever because there was honesty. And they took action too. They pulled it all, but it wasn't trying to hide behind anything.
They definitely they still don't have that same pill. The time released one. That was my favorite at the time.
Well,
I didn't get the wrong one.
That's good.
But yeah.
We were talking about, growing your team and everybody else. And one thing we want to all remember is part of this has to come from inside you, that you actually care about the people and their development, right? Whether, parents don't have to care about everything in their life. I mean, we all have busy lives, but, you have to care that they really develop. And I had a person I talked to, she's a senior executive at Cisco, the tech company. And when she got started, she actually cares about her team quite a bit. She cared about it. This was in her nature. And a manager came to her, a male, and said, Fran, you care too much. You would do better to put some of that away. Or maybe he said most of that away. And she didn't say anything, but she thought to her, that's not me. This is who I am. And she said, by the way, it worked out just fine for her. And it didn't. And lo and behold, it didn't seem to work out for him. We'll just leave it there. But there is, if you care for that team and then help them grow, etc., it can make a huge difference in your day-to-day, your satisfaction and happiness, and then, of course, in the organization's outcomes.
It's like the one dude that won't tell anybody his secrets because they'll take his job. I'm the one that's like, here are all the secrets. I'm not hiding anything. I want you to be as successful as possible. It's okay.
Yeah, that's funny. Henry Ford would not have gone very far if he kept everything about that a secret, because they would have just would have fired. So you don't have any, if he didn't display how he had the answers, which was the great team he had around him, obviously.
So the moral of the story is, have a good team.
Have a good team. I know. Well, no, the moral of the story is develop that good team.
Develop a good team, and you can do it.
Yeah. Or it's easier. It's easier. It doesn't become. There is competition if we're talking about business. So, it's still some work.
Yes, you do need to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And staying relevant, or you'll be a BlackBerry and out the door. All right, let's kind of talk about your book a little bit. Just tell me the name, what we're going to get out of it, and then a little bit about you, what you do.
Okay, well, so the book is called The Generous Leader, 7 Ways to Give Up Yourself for Everyone's Gain. And it is basically about a lot of what we talked about. It has 7 traits, a lot of them you and I just talked about. It actually is, as my daughter put to me, she's 35, 5 kids, and has a job. She's a business person. She said, Dad, this is great because it's not just theory, but it actually has at the end of each chapter some actions I could take. And I could just do this thing tomorrow and start practicing. That's who I am. I'm kind of an action-oriented person as opposed to theoretical. So that's the way it is. It may not. So that's the book. You could also just skim the end of each chapter and say, oh, or not going to solve everything by any stretch, but it's got some tips on how to be, a leader who helps grow your people. Me, I worked at the Boston Consulting Group for 37 years, just left that job, retired in January. I've been married 44 years. I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and number 9 coming. I'm very excited about that. And I'm now, I'm 3 months into the quote unquote retirement. So I'm still pushing this theme of generous leadership because it's something I deeply believe. And then a little bit of sorting out what exactly will fill the coffers, because I like my grandchildren a lot. So the question is, every time I do something else, it takes time away from maybe being with them. But if I'm only with them, that doesn't work either, so I'm working on that balance. That's briefly about me.
It sounds great. And I love my grandkids too, but I don't have as many as you.
I've got a lot, I admit. Yeah.
What is that one thing that our friend can do this week to help focus herself more on this generosity?
Oh, the one thing is go. What can I say? Two. One is either go if you're stuck on something. If you're stuck on something, go ask others for help, for their input, for their insights. It's very simple to go ask questions. Takes no time, no effort. Pick up the phone and call this person. I bet they could help me, but I don't have time to call them. That's the ask and listen is the easiest. It's the most important. It's very easy. The other thing I think, we didn't talk about it, but this whole concept of small acts have big impacts, and an email to someone, congratulate them on a great job. That's also very, very easy. It can be 2 sentences. Hey, I love that makes people feel so good. And then in turn, you feel good. That, a lot of people don't do it. Oh, I got to think. No, write 2 sentences and hit send. Don't think about it. Or walk down the hall if you actually are in an office and say, I really appreciate what you did there. Or ask them something about their weekend. Now we're in the middle of the week. Next Monday, ask them something about their weekend. Or better yet, if someone tells you they have a big weekend, remember what they told you and ask them on Monday how it went. I had a colleague.
You don't even have to remember it. Just write it down.
Well, yeah, no, I send happy birthday to, not now, but to 7,000 people at BCG, but they're all on my calendar. I didn't remember them. But they're all on my calendar. I put a one-liner, happy birthday, hope you have a great day, send. And my assistant helped. So maybe you call that cheating, but everyone still loved the note, so.
Yep. It's doing the things to let them know they're not out of mind.
Right. Well, to let them know they're a human, they're a person, as you said, they exist, and you actually value them. The 2 things: ask questions, do a few small congratulations / thank yous, and I bet you it makes a big difference.
Okay. And I'm going to think about who I can send these did a good job to. My kids. That would be fun.
That'd be really fun.
Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us today. It's been my pleasure. Friend, Joe and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People that have walked the talk, gone down that road, found things that help, and just want to support you in your journey any way we can. So thank you for joining, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.